Cowboy up, it's time to get it started. Cowboy up, we're so glad that you came. Say hi for Jesus as we all stand and sing. It's time to get it started right here at Bryan Lane. Cowboy up, here at the Cowboy Church. We're so glad that you made it. I want to shake your hand, hug your neck. Yes, we mean it, Cowboy up.
I didn't come here to ask you for anything. I just came to talk with you, Lord. You've answered a million prayers or more that I forgot to thank you for. I just came to talk with you, Lord. Maybe tomorrow there'll be trouble and sorrow and 1,000 teardrops may fall. But until I face tomorrow's task, I have no special favor to ask. I just came to talk with you, Lord. How many times, Lord, have troubles brought me down to my knees? But I just came to talk with you, Lord. I have no selfish motive in mind. Just want to thank you for all the other times. I just came to talk with you, Lord. Maybe tomorrow there'll be trouble and sorrow and 1,000 teardrops may fall. But until I face tomorrow's task, I have no special favor to ask. I just came to talk with you, Lord. I just came to talk with you, Lord.
God sent his son, and they called him Jesus. He came to love, heal and forgive. When he lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because he lives, well, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, well, all fear is gone. Because I know we hold the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the pride and joy he gives. But greater still that come assurance. This child can face uncertain days because he lives. Because he lives, well, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, well, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future. The living just because he lives. And then one day, well, I'll cross the river and I'll fight life's final war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, well, I'll see the lights of glory and I'll know he lives. Because he lives, well, I can face tomorrow. Because he lives, all fear is gone. Because I know he holds the future, and life is worth the living just because he lives.
I was standing on my window on one cold and cloudy day when I saw that hearse come rolling, come to carry my mother away. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I went back home now, it was so lonely, oh yeah. For my mother, she was gone, and my brother's crying alone. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Undertaker, 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 please drive slow for that body that you're hauling. Lord, I hate to see her go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. One more time. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home that's waiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Long ago and far away, my old common labor shoe, I turned to the world in every way, just because I didn't know you. Washed in the blood and made new. Your love is simple, true. Now there's no end to what I do, just because you asked me to. Let the world call me a fool, but if things are right with me and you, that's all that matters, and I'll do anything you ask me to. Knowing how much I love you, how your love has pulled me through, I turned around and followed you, just because you asked me to. Let the world call me a fool, but if things are right with me and you, that's all that matters, and I'll do anything you ask me to. Let the world call me a fool, but if things are right with me and you, that's all that matters, and I'll do anything you ask me to.
Say everything can be replaced, yet every distance is not near. So I remember every face of every man that brought me here. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection. They say every man's gotta fall. Yet I swear when I see my reflection someplace high above this wall, I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. Yonder man stands a young crowd, a man who swears he's not to blame. But all day long you hear him crying so loud. He's calling out that he's been framed. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released. I see my light, it comes shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, any day now, I shall be released.
Dear Lord, I thank you for the rain. I thank you for the much needed rain. And Lord, I thank you for everybody that's gathered in here this morning and all that you're doing to grow your kingdom through this church, this body of Christ. Lord, I pray that we don't get in the way, that we trust you and we see what you're doing because we are so close to you. There's no doubt where you're taking us. Lord, just be with us as we go into this. Open the hearts and minds and get Woody out of the way. We love you and we thank you in your name. Amen. All right, over the last few weeks, man, I work outside and we've got cattle and all that. And so I'm constantly outside, but over the last few weeks, the dust has finally just gotten to me, right? We went out in Oklahoma and it had not rained since June. I don't know if they got a rain through all this or not, but every time I turn around, I'm knocking dust off of me. And it's, just to be honest, I've gotten sick of it. You know, I've just gotten sick of the dust everywhere I go. You can't breathe, you can't do nothing without sucking it in. And in construction, there's always something running by you, right? Just to stir the darn dust up. Well, I was listening to a man the other day, and I began to think about all the things that go on in our life that, like the dust or like a storm. And if we just keep our focus on the cross, how there's a story to come out of it. There's a testimony to come out of it. As a pastor, I pick up on things through my weeks, through my griping to my wife about the dust, and finally he slows you down enough to say, there's a sermon in that. Today the sermon is when the dust settles, when the dust clears. What do you do when the dust clears from a storm? You see, as I was listening to this pastor the other day, he was talking about driving cattle down the lane back to the lots they go. And I thought of Mr. David Swanson's place, because we have drove cattle down that lane so many times in the past 15 years at Long Lane before you get and you split, and it just engulfs you in dust, right? Whether you're horseback or you're walking or whatever. And that old dust just, at times it gets between you and the cattle. You can't even see the cattle, man. Y'all ever been to a place like that where 6 of y'all? Yeah. Sod field, dust is all over the sod field, ain't it? But it gets between what you and the goal of life is, what your job is. Your job is to put those cattle in the pen. If you can't see them, what are they doing? Right? I got to thinking, because I stay in a hurry, 90 miles an hour. But the last 2 weeks, when I go flying up to my shop, my guys are there, you know, I just cover them in dust, right? But I sit in a truck till the dust clears. You know what I'm talking about? You know you do in the logging woods. You run up there and you're 100 miles an hour, and the dust goes all over everybody there, and all of a sudden you just sit there. And then when it clears, you get out, right? You know what I got to thinking about? That dust is like the world. That dust is like the devil's world, okay? You with me? It's old nasty. And the inside of that truck, before I throw that door open, I'm protected, right? Well, see, what if we let God encompass us like the doors of that truck? And we sit there until all that mess clears, and then we've got His protection. We see what He did clearing the dust, then we get out and go to the world. Because why? Because we got His protection around us, right? Are y'all following me? 14 people. Look, y'all think we ought to pray again, open the heart and mind again? Anyway, let me get back where I was. Look, Psalms 27. I don't want you to turn there. You ain't got to turn there. Go to 31. You go to 31, I'm going to 27. But Psalm 27:14 says, wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord. How many times are we facing something in our life? You keep flipping to 31, we're coming. How many times are we facing something in our life that is out of our control? I think about Betty Anglin. I think about Joy Gross, and all the others that I know that are facing something that they can't control. You know, me and Betty Anglin have talked several times. We just want the date to get here, don't we? We can't do nothing else, but we want 21st to get here. Joy wants to hurry up and get the 19th here. You see, God takes it from there. How many times, though, are we facing something in our lives? And look, us Christians, you know, we ask for guidance, right? Give me strength. How many Christians just run out there and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but they don't give everything to God to let Him strengthen them. They try to keep it on their own, right? We can quote the scripture, but we can't live by it, right? How many times are we facing something, we ask for guidance, but we don't let God have it. We don't let Him have the problem. We don't let Him have the worrying, the fretting over the problems. Instead of trusting God and God's timing, we try to fix it. We're going to fix it. Look at Psalms 31:1. O Lord, I have come to you for protection. Don't let me be disgraced. Save me, for you do what is right. And what's that saying? Here it is. You protect me because I believe in you. I've given you my heart. I've given you everything. And I believe in you. You protect me. I trust you. Right? That's what we say, ain't it? But what you do is a lot different thing than what you say, right? But how many Christians say, yeah, He's in control. He's got this. We had this discussion the other day about what if, I'm not going to name names, but what if a certain president had stayed in? Wouldn't things be better? Well, you know what I feel like? And I have had that discussion over and over and over. You know what I feel like? I believe Christians, not Americans, Christians put too much faith in a man. He put too much faith in a man to fix the problems, and we didn't give enough to Christ. So therefore, what did he do? He took that out of the way, and he gave you what we got now. You got a problem with that? Get in your electric car and go to one of them other churches. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do we need to pray again? Anyway, I'm sorry. All right. My mom just rolled her lip up like, I can't believe that's my kid, Billy. That is your son, not mine. Do y'all do that to your wife? Yeah. Did y'all know I got one kid and my wife's got 3? For you visitors, we've been married forever. And they're all ours. Anyway, all right, jump right there to 31:14 in Psalms. But I am trusting you, O Lord, saying, you are my God, my future is in your hands. How many Christians actually believe his future, or our future, is in his hands? But why do we wake up and worry every day about what's going on? Why do we make ourselves sick watching that darn TV? All of that. I wish we had as many Christians that would stand up for Jesus as we do Tennessee folks that stood up for the volunteers last night. Because ain't nobody stood up for them in years. They finally beat Nick Saban and they stand up. Yeah, I'm a Vols fan. No, you ain't. How many Christians are just like that? Just because there's a big victory somewhere. There's just a big victory in the church or in the community, and you know God made it happen. And the Christians say, oh yeah, that's my God. That's my God. But when things ain't going right in the country, they go, oh my, get my orange shirt off. Just saying, man. You say, we tell God we trust him. We tell God we trust him. And we tell him he's in control of our life, and here's my life, and here's everything I got. But do we truly believe it? Do we truly believe that he's in control of our life, or we just, believe that he's in control of the little things? You see, I'll tell you a little story. We've been to a rodeo all weekend long. Kai had a college rodeo up at Saxton, Missouri. And anyway, she didn't make short go, so I'm like, all right, load the truck, let's go. Well, all right, we'll stay and do this, but then we're going. We're going to support the team, but in the morning, tonight, when it's over, we're going. That was the whole plan, right? Me and Case get in the truck, give Callie my truck, and we get in the truck with Rip. And we go eat and roll around, did some stuff. My wife rolls the window down. That started it. She in the back. Well, I got to have air. I'm thinking, there's a vent blowing right down beside my right arm giving you all the air you need. Well, it's not enough. Are you husbands with me? Because I'm thinking to make some wives mad, probably. We'll just have a men's Bible study next Sunday. So, anyway, but we're going down through there. We stop in the store, and she's like, I don't feel good at all. I said, all right, being the loving, sweet husband I am, you get in the front. I'll get in the back. Well, then we're trying to find a place. Well, what do? I pull up the GPS on my phone. I'm looking down. I get car sick too, but I'm such a sweet husband. I got in the back. Are y'all with me? So all of a sudden, I said, oh, my gosh, I got to have some air, y'all. And I roll that window down. It ain't dusty in Saxton now. They got it rain. So anyway, we're headed over. I get in the store. It's more Milwaukee tools than I've ever seen in one place in my life. I'm like a kid on Christmas, right? But the more I walk around and look, the words get like this, and I'm feeling really green. You know what I mean? I'm like, y'all, I don't feel good. I didn't even want to check prices on nothing. I just didn't even feel good. So I go back. We get in my truck and we go do some stuff, go get some fuel or something. We come back And it's time for Cowboy Church. And I told Casey, I said, tell Rip, I'm going to puke. I mean, it's just that simple. I'm finna throw up. I'm not getting out of this truck. I'm going to sit in this air, and I'm finna lay my head down. So I slept through Rip's Cowboy Church, Kylie coming back to the truck to get something out of it and make all the noise she can. And I got back to sleep. And then, are y'all with me still? I promise I'm going somewhere with this. I missed the rodeo. Well, when she got back to the truck, I said, there ain't no way I can drive home tonight. I don't feel good. Y'all, I was mad. I wanted to work on food plots yesterday. I wanted to get some stuff done around the farm. I had all these things that I wanted to do, right? I didn't feel good. When I say I don't feel good and I can't drive, I don't feel good. You hear me? So we went and got a hotel room. Well, the first thing the Lord did, He cheapened it up from Thursday night to Friday night. That never happens, right? We get up and we load and we head out and we get about 3.5 miles from Marion, Arkansas, and I'm side by side with an 18-wheeler and boom! Blew a tire on the trailer. Pray for my wife. She still needs Jesus at times in her life. So, anyway, I calmly, you know, when the horses jump, the trailer's doing this, the 18-wheeler's right here, and Casey's freaking out, and Kylie even wakes up, probably. You know, what'd the chauffeur do? He messed the truck up. So, anyway, we're driving, right? We ease over, and we do all this, and anyway, I get out and check it. Well, there's traffic coming, right? Well, it had come a little rain. I said, well, let's limp on down, and if it starts beating the fender off this trailer, I'll stop and try to figure something out, but I can't change this tire on the side of the road. Number one, I don't have a jack. Number two, I don't have my ramp. It's on the other truck that we didn't take. So, we don't really have any way to change the tire, right? We limp on down. We make it to a bridge, and there's some a biker and his wife under the bridge because it's rained, right? We change the tire out in the sprinkles while they stand under the bridge. But when I stepped out of that truck and spoke to the guy, I thought to myself, you know what, if I'd left last night, I'd have been here about 11 or 12 o'clock last night on the side of this interstate. You know what? The biker ended up helping us. You see what I'm saying? I would have been out there on the side of the road, no jack, no nothing. Now, we rigged it up because I'm like MacGyver, right? I got the T-post driver out of the truck, stuck it under there, got the flat off, used that rim to go under the tire to get it all up to put it back on, right? Well, when we go to pull off, it kept kicking up under the trailer. You know why I'm telling you this? Because God put a man in my path to stand on the tire to hold it down so we could get off. And we were in the safety of getting off under that bridge with Him. And when I told him I was a Cowboy Church preacher, I said, I do a lot of work in Arkansas. Where are you from? Jonesboro. I said, you know Ernie Christmas and Matco, man? Yeah, sure do. And then I was able to say, y'all ever go to Cowboy Church at Wynn? No, we hadn't. I said, well, there's one right there in your door up there at Perigo. And I was able to share some Christ with the man, right? Just in talking. You know, what I thought was a bad deal, I didn't feel good. I wanted to be home was not part of God's plan because He had a safer route for me and my family. You see, we miss that, guys. We get mad because things don't work into our plans. Maybe He's building a barrier down the road for you. You know what I'm saying? Turn to Exodus. We're going to talk about it. Turn to Exodus 13. I've preached out of this so many times, and it just keeps coming back time after time after time. When you're there, say amen. That's enough for me to start. Exodus 13:17. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through Philistine territory. Even though That was the shortest route to the promised land. God said if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. You see, last week we baptized 3 people. Today we're going to baptize another one. You think maybe one of those 3 people left and Monday something hit them and took them way out of the way? From where they were supposed to be going, where they thought they were supposed to be going? You ever thought maybe he was protecting them because something bad happened to them? If something was bad to happen to them, they might turn around and go back to the world where they came from. How many times do we do that as Christians? Because a bad situation hits our life, we turn around and go back to the world. "18 says, so God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea." See, there's the first roundabout. "Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place." The Israelites left Succoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud. And he provided light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or by night. And the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place in front of the people. Now, see, he put something there. Don't you think after the first few days, those people, when the sun came up, they looked for the cloud? They looked for it. When it started turning dark at night, they started looking for the fire, right? Where are you leading us now? So they're getting comfortable, right? They're getting comfortable that they've got something leading them. They know it's God, right? Moses has told them he's going to lay out the path for us. Is that not what the Word tells us Christians? He's got a pillar right here in front of us to follow. That's all you got to do, man. Real easy. Till you have a blowout on the side of the road and your wife starts hollering. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't never had a blowout? You know how hard it is for a pastor, a sweet, loving pastor, to tell his wife to shut her pie hole? It took me just a second to get it to come out nice. But, you know, here's an 18-wheeler, and there's a median, and a cable, and all this stuff, and, you know, over here. I did it. I did it nicely. Didn't I, Cass? Hush, Cass. But he's got us a guide right here. If we get too far away from the Word, we're going to get in the dust, right? Look at 14 there. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Order the Israelites to turn back and camp at Pihathra between Migdol and the sea. Camp there along the shore across from Baal-zephon. Then Pharaoh will think the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness, and once again I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I have planned this in order to display my glory through Pharaoh and his whole army. You see, what's God telling Moses? You do what I say, and Pharaoh's fixing to see who the man is. He's fixing to see, and I am going to get all the glory. Isn't that what you told me, Moses? I was to get all the glory? Isn't that what the Israelites are saying? We're gonna let God lead us because He's all powerful. He can do all things. He tells him point blank, watch this, boys. After that he says, after this is the after this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. See, he hardened the heart, right? What have we done letting all those Israelite slaves get away, they asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot, called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses, chariots, charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked. When they saw the Egyptians overtaking them, they cried out to the Lord. And they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness?" What did they do? First thing they did is they blamed God's man. They blamed the man that God put before them that was leading them to the promised land. They started blaming him first, right? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? You say, well, he didn't make them leave, did he? I don't think he beat them and told them they had to go. They followed. Why? Because they wanted to see the promised land, right? They said they were followers of God and that Moses was the man God had sent to lead them. All of this is in there, right? But now that there's a problem, now that these Egyptians are coming, and you know what's coming behind them? Dust. He got everybody he could. You see that? He got the chariots and the charioteers. I don't know what the charioteers are, but obviously they don't run like the chariots. But he got all those people, and all of a sudden, the Israelites are looking back, and they can see it coming, right? Like a storm, if you've ever been out west and you see a storm coming from 30, 40 miles off, that's probably what they could see. And instead of saying, "God, we're here," you're still getting the glory whatever they do. They started blaming somebody. Kind of like America, right? Just like America. Not kind of, just like America. You remember, "In God we trust," USA? But does the USA truly trust God, or do they trust the president to fix it? Because there ain't been a president fix nothing yet. Now, I ain't saying don't go vote. I'll hear this. I'll get one of them long texts tonight. You know, because pastor's kind of like Moses. He's going to get the blame first. I'm not saying don't go vote. And I'm not going to ever tell you who to vote for. But I'm going to tell you this book will lead you to the morals of who to vote for. It don't give you a name, but it gives you a person, and it's written out right here of what you ought to vote for. That's a whole different sermon. I'm not going to get caught in the dust. So anyway, let's get back to where I was. Where was I? See, nobody knows. Where? Leave us alone. Is that what it is? Yeah, see, y'all didn't read far enough. Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, "Leave us alone. Let us be slaves to the Egyptians. It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness." See where America's headed, guys? But Moses told the people, don't be afraid, just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. Don't you know those Israelites are going, man, this dude he's done smoked something he found over there we didn't find. He is on something because he lost his mind. Because you see that dust coming? It's the charioteers kicking up all the dust. We're going to die. No faith, right? No faith. Don't be afraid. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm. Then the Lord said to Moses, why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff, raise your hand over the sea, divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed. What did he say? His great glory, not Moses. His great glory will be displayed through who? Through the Pharaoh. The guy chasing him, trying to kill him. He finna use him, man. You got it? What's he doing, Christians? Is he using the United States of America to show you what he can do? Are you so caught up in the world not being like you want it that you've lost focus of the cross? Because see, Christians in America have got to get it focused back on the cross. We got to quit worrying so much that we can't even think, because one day all this be gone, man. And we'll know what the promised land looks like. But if you're not following him, you're not staying honed in on him, you're living with the world, you're caught up in the dust, you're going to be one of those dead bodies. You're going to be one of those left behind. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord. Y'all got it? You need me to answer it, Shimon? No, I'm just kidding. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am Lord. So through all that they're going through, all the worry, all the scariness, he's fixing to show others. You know, and I tell people all the time, I tell my sons, you show the face of Christ in everything you do. Because somebody is watching you. I think about it at the rodeos, man. I saw the Tennessee Volunteers smoking cigars that long. Boy, that looked great to the kids that look up to them. I don't care if you're a volunteer fan or not, but when you start smoking a cigar because you won a game, what's old little boy, 12 years old, playing football, what's he looking at? See, I got two baby boys that are 12. And I'm so sick of the world trying to get a hold of my boys. And people say, well, you got to control your temper. No, let me tell you something. And I agree, right, Davey? We on the same page, I know. But you know why he put nuts like me in the pulpit? Because he's tired of pastors being passive. Get a little fire under you, Christians. You see, when he cleaned the temple out, I don't think he was playing. I think he had them by the collar, if they had a collar, or whatever was back there, and he was taking them. I don't think he was swinging, although he might have pushed somebody. He wasn't hollering and screaming like my wife going down the interstate. He was making a point. You see, it's time for Christians to stand up and quit being passive. Don't you know Moses wanted to slap some of them right up there close to him? Look what you've done to us. Ah. But he didn't. He didn't, right? Is it hot in here to y'all? People with blankets on up here take my shirt off. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You visitors, don't leave yet. Anyway, then the angel who had been leading the people of Israel moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them. The cloud settled between the Egyptian and Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned to fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other all night. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground. Are you following? It's dry. It ain't gumbo gooey. It's dry. And there's walls of water on each side. Can you picture it? Maybe even getting a little dust in their sandals, right? But you hear they walked. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers chased them into the middle of the sea. What happens when you start running? What happens when you start running wide open? Or you're running a horse across dry ground? Come on. Here comes the dust. But now the Israelites could see where they were going because they walked. Why? Because God was in control of them. They were patient with His path because He just showed them what He could really do. Well, Pharaoh and his guys, they don't really know what he can do yet. They were going, what happened to that sea? And they take off running and they're kicking up dust. Chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud. And He threw forces into total confusion. How'd He do that? Think maybe He threw the dust all in the middle of them. They couldn't see where they were going. Horses started stopping and horses behind started running over them. You ever run cattle down a dusty trail or seen cattle hit a fence at night? The ones in the front start seeing the fence coming. The ones in the back can't because of the butts of the cows. Usually it's not the cow in the front of a herd that runs through the fence. It's the ones right behind them. And then it's in all disarray, right? Am I breaking this down so you can see what I got out of this scripture? Total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. Let's get out of here. Away from these Israelites, the Egyptians shouted, "The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." He just made his point. The Egyptians, the Lord is fighting for them. Wow. Everything God had told him it was going to happen, it's happening right now. That's the start. When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the sea again, then the waters will rush back over the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers." So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots, the entire army of Pharaoh. All of the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground. As the water stood up like a wall on both sides, that is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. But why did he have to do such a big miraculous thing to get people to pay attention? How many things has he done in your life that was a big miraculous thing and it brought you to awe? You're like, wow, only God could do that. But then you let the dust get back around you. You let the world engulf you. And all of a sudden you lose focus of how powerful our God really is. I saw a deal the other day, and I really don't remember where I saw it or if somebody said it or what. But y'all ever watch the movie Titanic? The Titanic is rolling across that sea. And it's headed toward that big piece of ice, right? Those people are partying like there's no tomorrow on that ship. And they don't realize that up ahead of them is death. They don't realize that the biggest, best ship ever built is fixing to be destroyed. You see, the United States of America is like the Titanic. The United States of America is rolling along thinking everything's going to be fixed by one man and not the man. And we are headed toward total destruction because Christians are sitting here living with the world. We're not sitting in the truck with the doors closed for God's protection till the dust clears, till the world gets out of the way, and then step out and have his strength with us. We're jumping out in the dust with the world. We jump out and we're doing the things, we're partying like there's no tomorrow. And we're headed toward destruction. Because there's going to be a lot of people that call themselves Christians that'll be just dead bones. They won't know what the promised land looked like. They won't hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant," because they are living with the world and acting a certain way on Sunday. Has God ever slowed you down before? He ever parked you? Don't be surprised if all of a sudden life stops. Before you go to complaining and griping about somebody stopping your life, ask the Lord, what are you trying to show me? God, what are you trying to show me? Because obviously, I'm trying to live my world. I'm trying to run my path, my race. Let me ask you this, because I bet there's somebody, it might just be one person this whole message is for. Does God have you a point in your life where you don't know which way to go? You don't know what to do? You don't know how to make the decision that's before you because you just don't know. Maybe you're scared. Maybe it's a point in your life you got to step out. You got to get away from mom and dad. I think about Wyatt. He's finna walk a long way from mom and daddy. Is he going to let the Lord lead him? I'm not putting you on the point on spot because there's a bunch of kids in here your age. You know what? There's a lot of mamas and daddies in here that are at a point in their life and they don't know which way they're supposed to go. Maybe you're in here today and you know that the way you're headed is not toward that cross. Whether you a mama, daddy, a kid, I don't care. What's God slowing you down? What's He telling you? When He put the brakes on you, what is He trying to show you? You ever thought maybe God's got you sitting in a place, in a spot, so you can figure out what putting all your faith in Him is? Maybe He's giving you just a little more time to make the decision. Here's everything I got. I'm giving you everything I got. Here's my family. Here's my business. Here's everything I've got. Is that what He's slowing you down for? Because maybe not all of your faith is in Jesus Christ. Maybe not all your faith is in God to make all the plans for your life. It's tough. I'm sure all of us are at some point where we're having to make a decision. Can we do this? Let me tell you something. I'm just going to be honest with you. Your pastor is at a point in my life I've got to make a decision. And it's a life-changing decision. Well, if I don't give God every bit of my life and my decision, then I'm doing you no good. You know what? You're doing your family no good if you don't give them all of you. If you don't give Him everything you got, you're wasting His time. You're in His way to do His work.
Revelation 21:2. I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and He will dwell with them. They will be His people, and God Himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." And that's what this song's about.
It's all coming down.
It's all coming down.
This life I've been living, I'll leave in the ground.
It's all coming down.
As sure as this world
Won't stop turning around. Morning will bring a brand new